Awesome. Hi guys. Hi, it's happening. It's 5 o'clock and it is Friday and it's Lily's news and I'm Lily. Welcome. Hello, hello. Hi, Crystalline and Ronnie. How are you? How are you? What's going on? Ronnie, it's so good to see you. Hi guys. So we have a story and I have to tell you about it right now. Legally obligated to tell you about it. Um, I was not ready to start. So I have to tell you about this incredible story. It's so great to see you all. I hope you all are good and happy and safe, and healthy and healthy and healthy and healthy. And I wasn't here last week. There was just a lot going on. Hi, Laverne. How are you? And so I was I'm on the mend. Uh, I know. I missed you. I missed you guys. I missed you guys a lot. I was planning a stream for my other channel that a lot of you know. And I have my cash where it's sitting on my desk. And I think I've fallen out of love. Not to say that I can't fall back in love. But I think I've fallen out of love. Also, did you guys know that um, uh having a channel of my size, Lily's Lottery, makes taxes really, really, really insanely difficult. Like that size is like, it is absolutely mind-numbingly annoying to do taxes. Because it's like, it's so in between. And so that was my that was my anxiety in this month, but that is over and it's settled and everything is fine and life is good. And so I think I finally have the ability, not just the time to restart. I have the time to restart, and I have the energy, but I think I just need to re-find the love of it. But I hope you guys know that doesn't take away from the love that I have for you guys as well. But we have a really crazy story to tell today, and I have an announcement as well that I'm really excited for. Oh my god, I'm so excited! I have the energies. I was telling Steve I have the energies today, and I asked him if he did, and he says he doesn't. So just me. Karen Reed. I don't know if you have heard of Karen Reed, but I know that we have a lot of upstate New Yorkers or just normal New Yorkers. I don't want to say upstate. We have a lot of New Yorkers here. And Karen Reed is, this case has happened in Massachusetts, just south of Boston. Crystalline says, I posted videos on my channel. It's going to be a little bit of everything. I love that, Crystalline. I'm so excited to watch. Oh, I'm so excited to watch. I will be over there tonight for sure. For sure. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. That makes me so happy. So Karen Reed may or may not be a murderer. Let's talk about it, right? So there's a bunch of players in the story. So we have Karen Reed, New Yorker in the house. We have Karen Reed. We have John O'Keefe. Hi, Deborah. How are you? We have Jennifer. We have Carrie. We have Brian, I believe. We have another guy who's going to come in. We have a lot of players in the story, and it's going to get kind of jumbled. So I'm going to do my really, really, really best that I can at kind of breaking down the majority of the truths that we might know, and then kind of go into the conspiracy aspect. And now these conspiracies I'm going to talk about not just because it's like pure speculation, but because it's actually going to be brought up in the trial in the court case of this woman and the death of John. So on January 28th, going into January 29th of 2022. So go back a little bit, a couple of years, to late January 2022. There was a nor'easter coming, ready to drop a crap ton of snow on the Northeast, particularly in the Boston area. So a little bit of background for the two main-ish players in the story. John O'Keefe is a Boston cop. He's a hardened 16-year veteran cop, not no rookie. He knows what he's doing. He's been on the force for a long time, since he was like 30, I believe, because I think he was about 46 when he passed away. And he is also the guardian. He also was the guardian of his niece and nephew. So his niece and nephew's mother passed away from a brain tumor. And then a few months later, their father passed away from a heart attack. So very, very traumatic and sad and hard for those children. And he, at the point of his death, he had been their guardian for, I believe, like 5 to 7 years, something like that. Karen is, I love that her name is Karen, because sometimes we want to call people Karens, so it's easy if I forget her name and she acts like a Karen. Karen is a professor, kind of like a part-time professor. She's an equity analyst. She works with like money. She's got her own money. She's got her own home. She's got a nice Lexus black SUV. You know, she's got some funds in her bank account. She doesn't worry about taxes. She's not concerned about tax season. John is respected. He's a respected cop. People know him. People appreciate his work and him protecting and serving, and he's well known in the community. And this is all happening just a little south of Boston, Massachusetts, in Canton, Massachusetts. Which, if you are familiar with that area, Canton, it's not a big town, but it's pretty popular for where it is like located near a big city. Okay. John and Karen have been seeing each other for about 2 years. They've known each other for a while, but they finally started kind of their relationship, I'd say, probably about 2 years before the passing of John. And even though there was an impending storm of doom, of ice crystals falling from the sky, a pileup of snow, they were headed off to the bar, right? They were like, we're going to the bar. It ain't gonna stop us. Even on top of the impending storm, they were also kind of in not the best moment in their relationship. Everyone knows like the 7-year itch, right? And like the honeymoon phase. It seemed to me, from what I've heard, is that they were kind of out of the honeymoon phase and kind of in like the bickering, arguing, getting angry at each other, yelling at each other, not in a best place. Kind of, is this the end? Are we going to be able to mend our issues, or do we call it quits sort of phase? So there's a lot of, I don't want to say tension, but it was not like easy breezy, beautiful cover girl relationship moment. And so they've been bickering, but they needed to go blow off some steam. They went to the bar. Karen was having her vodka tonics. I don't know what John was drinking, but he was drinking. They were drinking. It's on security footage. They were drinking. They were at the bar. They were drinking. They were hugging. They were touching. They were kissing. They were smooching. They were doing, they seemed to have lightened up. A couple of drinks will do it to you. A couple of drinks will do it to you. And so I know the snow personally does not ever really impact my personal plans. Like if I have a plan to go somewhere, or it's like 20 miles away, or I got to hit the highway or something like that, it really doesn't impact my personal plans, because I have lived in upstate New York my entire life. And if I wasn't in this area, I was closer to Buffalo, or closer up to the Canadian border, where things happen even like in different ways and like bigger ways. So I know how to drive in snow. I would rather drive in, oh, it's snowing, instead of, oh, it's raining. I know what I'm going to get with snow. I know what my car is capable of. With rain, I never really know what you're going to get. So like that puddle could be a sinkhole. Who knows? But with snow, I'd rather drive in snow. But that's just me. That's just me. Now, would I rather drive in snow drunk? Absolutely not. Because drunk driving is not just illegal. It is morally and ethically awful. So don't do it. Don't ever do that. So I had to put that in a little PSA, don't drink and drive, period. Like, period. All right, so where was I? So Karen and John were planning on having a fun night out. They were doing it. But somehow, some way, John ended up dead at the end of the night, covered in snow, with lacerations to his head, blunt force trauma, what looked like could possibly be a really gnarly dog bite on his arm, covered in snow at about 5, 6 in the morning is when he was finally found. So how does just a night at the bar with your girlfriend as a 16-year veteran on a police force end with you dead in a pile of snow? I have some answers, but not all of them. This is where it gets weird, right? So this case really is, this is like the turning point of the case, because it's like the how. But just in general of like the optics of the case, this is turning into a very, very high profile case, the side of the Mississippi in the past like couple decades, for a couple of reasons. One, it's a police officer. It's like a veteran police officer. It's a well-known police officer. It's in a high value area, like community. But also the cover-up theory, we'll get to it. The prosecution, like being under federal investigation, we'll get to it. And also the internet. So like 3 major players in why this case has blown up to be what it is now. Where it could have been and where it should have been is just something sort of handled on its own. But I think it's for the better that it is what it is now, because it's bringing a lot of conversation and a lot of light to some really awful things that the police may or may not, allegations may or may not have done or are capable of doing. So, okay. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Okay, so before we get into the details, kind of like the time stamps of it all, I just want to say I do not know everything about this case. And I don't know everything about this case for a reason. 1, there's a lot to it, but 2 is because this case is going to trial. Right now it looks like opening statements are going to be pushed to Tuesday because they're still looking for a couple more jurors. They're still kind of wondering these jurors, and they're doing it individually just because of how big this case is. So it looks like the opening statements for the trial are going to start Tuesday. They were kind of hoping to start today, and it's going to be approximately a 6-week trial. So the prosecution is calling for about 4 weeks to plead their case, and the defense is calling for about 2 weeks to plead their case as well. So we're looking at about a 6-week trial. Now, that's a long time. That's a long time, and that's a lot of information. But I wanted to not get too much information for a reason. The reason being, I am going to stream the trial with you guys. So I'm going to live stream alongside the trial, and commentate, hey, bye, have a good night, about it. And I wanted to go into it with as fresh eyes and brain as possible, as like a juror would. So the jurors are going to go into this case probably knowing some names, probably knowing something happened, but not knowing a lot of information. And they're going to be handed it, they're going to be told it, and they're going to hopefully be convinced, according to the prosecution, that she's guilty, and according to the defense, that there is room for doubt, so you cannot convict. So I want to go into it with that as well, but I do still have some information. So over this weekend, I want to tell you guys, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Over this weekend, I am going to be moving where I do my Lily's News content to its own channel, but it's still going to be right here. basically still hosted by Insane Games TV, but it's gonna be. We just did it with the Wrestling with the Business. So Wrestling with the Business has their own YouTube channel. You guys should definitely go check them out. I've been editing the gauntlets. They're so cute and so fun. So I'm gonna do that this weekend, and we're gonna stream. So I'll be here, like, when it's streaming. You can come and watch me, and I will just be a little chatty juror alongside. But the perk is I get to talk and I get to share my thoughts and listen to other people's thoughts and have conversations as it's all happening. So we can watch the trial, we can share our thoughts as it's going down, because it's going to be a long time. Weekly recaps is going to be hard because there's so much information in one day. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm really excited to do it. So if you're bored at work in the middle of the day and you want to catch up on some trial action, you'll know where to find me. I will let you guys know. I'll make sure all the information is readily available. But I am so excited. I wanted to do this for so long, and I think this is the perfect time and the perfect case to kind of hop on, because everything that I know about it, I will be telling you right now. So, yay! Okay. So, Also, I'm going in it with I'm not a lawyer. So I have interest, and I have, like, I don't know. It's gripping to me, like trials and cases like this. But I'm not a lawyer, so I have no lawyer education. I have no education in it whatsoever. So we will be learning, and we'll be chatting, and we'll be experiencing it all at the same time. Thank you, Crystal, and thank you. I'm really excited. And of course, we'll keep the streams up. So if you missed it and you want to catch it, it'll still be on the channel. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's get into this. So back to the cold, snowy night at the bar with John and Karen. So John and Karen run into Jennifer McCabe and Brian Albert. So Jennifer is Brian's sister-in-law. Brian Albert, also a police officer. And Brian and John do have a history together. So we have 4 people. We have Karen, Jennifer, John, and Brian. John is the man who lost his life. Brian is the also police officer. Jennifer is the sister-in-law. And Karen is the woman on trial. John and Brian have a history, not a great history. There was a lot of tension. There's a lot of bad blood, but that they're still cops. They're still blue-blooded. There's still brothers, of the cult that they're in. And they're still brothers, but they did have a little bit of a history that could maybe come into play later. Also, I just want to mention that there's a lot of police officers and a lot of driving under the influence happening all in the same situation, and I don't like it. I don't like it one freaking bit, right? So Karen is getting, I guess, sleepy. She's not really feeling anything much past the bar. She's had her drinks, which is either 4 or 10, and either minimum 4, maximum as many as she could have thrown back in the amount of time she was at the bar. We don't have a specific number. There have been multiple numbers stated, but they were invited to like a house party over at Brian's house, kind of a friend of a friend kind of invite. It's not a direct, hey, come, it was a little weird. It was a little weird vibes, but nonetheless, John wanted to go. So according to Karen took John to the house, and John went in, and she was sending him a text or two like, hey, like, it's a weird type of vibe, like, are you staying, are you gonna come back, like, I'm sleepy, I might have a blood alcohol content of 0.08 or like 0.29, who knows, but I'm driving a car and it's starting to storm. Are you staying, are you going? She didn't get a message back. And so she goes over to John's house, which is just right around the corner-ish. Not right around the corner, but a couple miles away. She hops on the couch, takes a little snooze, pops up around 4:30. I was like, wow, what's going on? Where's John? First of all, there's rules to live by, and one of my rules to live by is you do not separate yourself from your group, especially when alcohol is involved. So I offer up this question: would you leave your police officer boyfriend or girlfriend, who is in their 40s, at a friend of a friend's house, and you drive home drunk, and it's just the two of you that went out? Would you do that? Yes, you are adults, but yes, you have been drinking. So I feel like immediately, if you have been drinking and you are adults, it would be like, oh, and we're kids again. We don't separate, right? Just because you are an adult and you are, and you know how to protect yourself, you could be sucker punched from behind, right? Like, you don't separate yourselves, especially if there's even a thought of a weird feeling. That's just in my brain. No. If I'm going there, if I'm going with you, I'm coming home. You know, like, if we're in the car on the way there, we're in the car on the way back, and we're talking about it. We're having the conversations. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Or if I'm going with you and we both get drunk, well, I guess we're splitting an Uber. You know, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're in your 40s and you're getting in your car driving after you've had at least 4 drinks at a bar? That's crazy to me. That's crazy talk. That is crazy talk. Because I'm like, no, ma'am. Exactly. If you have any ounce of care for someone and they say, I want to stay at this person's house that I kind of have some beef with, but it seems fun. And you're like, well, I want to go to sleep. Someone has to make a compromise. It can't just be like, we'll go our separate ways. No. I don't care how old you are. I don't care. Don't do that. Don't do that. So she wakes up at about 4:30 in the morning, and she's like, oh my gosh, where's John? I haven't seen John. So she's calling Jennifer, the girl that was at the bar. I was like, hey, come on over. She calls Jennifer, and she's like, oh, I don't know. Jennifer's like, I don't know where I never saw him. Saw him at the bar. Always stay together. Always stay together. She's like, I never saw him at the bar. Didn't even see him at the house. What? So Karen has no calls from John, no texts from John, no nothing. She calls Carrie, introducing a new character unlocked. Carrie is Karen's best friend. Well, I wouldn't say best friend, but like a longtime friend. They probably live close enough to each other where, like, an emergency, like, hey, you got to come pick me up. We got to, like, this is problem. Like, oh, hey, I'll be there in like 5 minutes type of energy. Carrie has been with Karen as a friend for a long time. Karen is worried. So she calls Carrie. They start searching for John. It's really early in the morning, but like, where's John? Hello, where is John? And of course, Karen goes to the last known spot where she dropped John off. Say dropped John off like 5 times fast. Where she dropped John off, which was the house, Brian's house. And so she drives there and she sees a pile of snow with a body sticking out of it. And so she runs out of the car. She starts undigging this body, and it's John. There's a body in the snow in the front lawn of the house party. Let that just like sink in real fast. There's a body in the snow in the front lawn of a house party of a home of a police officer. That in itself is absurd. That's absurd. Karen finds John dead in the snow. Only one sneaker. He's bloodied. He's got black eyes. She calls 911. But weirdly, no one from the house where a police officer, an emergency service personnel resides, even comes out. Or sirens, ambulance, cops. It doesn't step out of the house. He was probably already on the phone with his lawyer and he said, don't. But it should be in your, like, it should just be muscle memory to see distress, go help, right? It's in the front lawn of your house. Wild. This whole thing is so crazy. Oh my God. Okay. Forensic details, a little bit of forensic action happening. John is believed to have been murdered around 1 a.m. ish, like 12. Anyway, I think it was like between like 12:45 and like 1:15 or something like that, like a half an hour window. He so they think that was the time that he was murdered. Remember the drinking? How much did Karen drink? She says four. Other people say more. Karen was driving a police officer after a night at the bar after having drinks. Like, you were driving your car drunk. I don't get it. When people arrived, when police arrived, there was an urgency to check Karen's blood alcohol content, her BAC level. Now, why? I'm not really sure. She could have still been belligerent or slurring her words. She could have said, I think I'm still drunk. Carrie could have said, she's drunk. She could have said, well, we were just at the bar. Blood alcohol content was checked. When it was checked, at I believe around like 6:30 in the morning, she had a BAC of 0.08, which if you have no alcohol in you, it's 0. 0.08 is like DUI in New York State. Immediately DUI. Like, you are drunk. You're drunk. You are too inebriated to drive a car. So that was at 6:30 in the morning. Now, Karen's story, she was sleeping for a couple of hours after she hit the couch at around 2:30. She was sleeping for a couple of, so she was sleeping some of that off. Right? And now at 6:30 in the morning, she has a blood alcohol content of 0.08. So what was it when she was driving her boyfriend, John, the veteran police officer, around? Well, they did a little sciencey action, and it was like quite possibly anywhere between 0.13 and 0.29, which is like, I don't know, dying levels of alcohol. Like just like, oh, I have so much alcohol in my system, I literally can't live anymore. Like, that's so much alcohol. That's why I do not go and drink when I want to drink. I stay in my damn house. Yeah, also it's like cheaper, right, Crystalline? Like, it's so much cheaper to just like buy a bottle instead of go out and have a couple of drinks, because now like bars are trying to get you for like a vodka tonic for like $18. Like, ma'am, that was well. Like, what do you mean $18? Like, I'm sorry. How much are limes again? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's so much cheaper, and it's more fun. Okay, so if you're drinking at home, it's so much more fun. You don't have to get all dressed up. You don't have to put any makeup on. You don't have to put, any heels on. You don't have to feel like, you can be comfortable and have a drink in your own house. And, oh, you sleepy? Where are you? You're already in your bed. You're already in your bed. You're already on your couch. You already got your pajamas on. It's perfect. It's so much better. It's so much more fun. And you want to have some friends over, and, well, everyone, wear your pajamas, bring a blanket and a pillow, and we'll just hang out and just pass out. We'll all just pass out together, right? Like, it's so much more fun. It's so much more fun than trying to, like, making, like, the bar scene into, like, this, like, I don't know, like, you gotta wear, like, a leather jacket, and then if it's cold, and if you walked, it's cold, your feet hurt. Oh, it's a whole thing. I hated it. So when John was murdered, they believe that Karen's blood alcohol content was at least 0.13, based on the amount that it would have shifted through the times that were given. They believe that at around 1 a.m. when John was murdered, that her blood alcohol content was at least 0.13. Mind you, she drove home. And a major point that a lot of people are mentioning was the paramedics' accounts at the crime scene, and how Karen kept saying, like, did I hit him? I think I hit him. I hit him. Which is like, you have a blood alcohol content of being drunk, and you keep saying that you hit him, and now your boyfriend is dead in a pile of snow. So, like, kind of like a straight giveaway, right? So for the police officers and investigators At this time, they figured, all right, easy solve. Karen was drunk, hit John, drove away, sobered up a bit, realized something happened, but still a little like foggy, still drunk kind of hangover action. Went to find him. There he is, deceased. And the reasoning is concurred by the discovery of this like red glass that matched Karen's taillight, that was like near where John was found, which was magically broken, right? Because Karen was like, it wasn't broken when we went to the bar. Well, Karen, he wasn't allegedly, quite possibly, maybe hit by a car at the bar. He was allegedly, quite possibly, hit by a car at this house. Taillight, glass, car, back up, drunk, too fast, you know. But remember when I said there were reasons this is complicated? Because Karen, who at this point of our story has now been arrested on manslaughter charges, pleas not guilty. The cover-up. Let's talk about it. So Karen's defense attorney allegedly got a call, allegedly from someone. I'm sure the number was like hidden or whatever, and they can't trace it or something. And like Karen didn't know, and Karen didn't do it. And the caller said Karen is innocent. It was Brian. It was Brian and his nephew or something like that. I don't know. Brian was a cop, you know, Brian from the house where he was. Yeah. And he was also a fighter. I think it was like a boxer, something. I told you, I don't have all of the information. I have like the summation of the information, but the little tiny details I want to get in trial. He loved to fight, and he was a good fighter, right? And so Brian and his nephew beat up John, and they did it a little too hard. It wasn't supposed to end in murder. It wasn't supposed to end in murder. They were just trying to show him a thing or two, you know? It's supposed to be a warning, right? So that's crazy. Like, that's just in itself is crazy. Another thing. Is there a conflict of interest? Okay, I have a question. Is there a conflict of interest in an investigation when cops are close? So let me explain. So if two cops, let's just say, if two cops are like best friends, they're besties, but one cop gets himself kind of caught up in a crime, you know, like a criminal investigation, but that criminal investigation is investigated by bestie. Do you think that's a conflict of interest? I do. I do. This girl, I do. Do you think it's a conflict of interest? Because turns out that the lead detective of this case was pretty much like besties with Brian. Yeah, Brian, remember Brian? The guy whose house where John was found dead on the front lawn. So the lead detective and Brian go way back. It was snowing really hard. And what happens when it snows? Plows. Right? Okay, you guys, this is like, oh my God, it's all so much. It really is all so much, because you would on the plain level of here's the basic details, you would be like, this is so cut and dry, but it is so far from cut and dry. It is crazy. Okay, so it's snowing. So what happens when it snows? Plows. We get snow plows. Oh, I love and hate snow plows so much. I love when you get behind a snow plow, like on a highway, and it's like snowing really bad. You're like, hell yeah, fresh plowed road. It's salted. It's, you know, I love that. I will go 5 miles per hour behind a snow plow if it means I'm getting some fresh plowed road, you know? I don't care. I'm not in a hurry. It's snowing. Why would I be in a hurry? But I also hate when snow plows plow the snow right back into your driveway that you just shoveled. Oh, I hate that so much. That's terrible. I feel like that's a universal experience for people who live in places that get snow. But anyhow, it was plows were out, right? Because it was snowing so hard. The snow was coming down. So a plowman, I'm not sure what they're called. A man who drives a plow claimed that the first route that he took on that street. There was no body, there was no car, right? And then he claimed that a couple hours later, when he did that street again, there was a black SUV. Okay, interesting. But then, when the lead detective on the case, Brian's friend, he interviewed like the manager, like the man who makes the routes for the plows, and he said that's weird that he said that because there were no plows scheduled to go down that road. So why was it plowed twice by a guy who supposedly allegedly saw a black SUV, so probably something similar to what Karen drives? Interesting. Interesting. Like, what is the truth? What is the truth? Jennifer's search history. Remember Jennifer? She was the girl. She's the sister-in-law of Brian. Jennifer's search history. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff here. Jennifer had a search done. She searched on her phone, allegedly at 2:30 a.m. How long to die in the cold? That was her search. Now, how was spelled HOS? Because she was texting. Instead of HOW, because the W is right above S on a keyboard. Sounds a little fishy to me. So, allegedly, Jennifer searched at 2:30 a.m. Haas long to die in the cold. She meant how. And then she tried to make it disappear. Like, she tried to, like, delete it, like, get it off my phone, like, clear the cache, But she also then searched it again at, I believe, like, 6:30, 6-ish, when, like, cops and stuff were there, apparently. Now, she says that Karen asked her to search that and figure it out. Karen was probably like trying to play detective herself. Like, how long has he been out here, right? Like, how long? Look it up. Tell me how long it takes. And so she was probably like, okay. My throat is so dry. So, what's Jennifer's excuse? Reasoning. Her reasoning that there was a search done at 2:30 in the morning when apparently allegedly Karen was like sleeping on John's couch, was that it was a tab on her phone that was opened at 2:30 in the morning, but the actual search on that already opened tab didn't happen until when Karen asked Jennifer to search that. So Jennifer's reasoning is that, well, they're confusing the search time with the actual opening of the tab, because when you like go on like Internet Explorer on your iPhone and you have like 76 tabs open, because every time you click a link it opens a new tab, and and then you're like, why is my phone so slow, and you have to clear them up. So she's saying that tab that she used to search Haas long to die in the cold was opened at 2:30 in the morning. She was probably on her phone at the house party. And then, so that was, that one I can kind of get behind. Like, I can kind of get behind that it was the tab that was open at 2:30 and then she searched that. I can kind of get behind that. But like I said, I don't have all the details. Another conspiracy, John walking upstairs. According to John's Apple Health data, from either like his phone in his pocket or like an Apple Watch or something, there were like a few seconds that noted John walking up 3 flights of stairs. Proof. Evidence that John made it into the house and went up the stairs. Go into the house, you go up the stairs. Go into the house, you go up the stairs. I don't know. It's Massachusetts. I don't know. It could be like a 4-story house. I don't know. But the prosecution, which is the state, which is the entity that's pressing the charges against Karen, is claiming that that is not a reliable source of proof and evidence that John actually entered the house because of how often the Apple Health data information can actually be incorrect. So, did he go in the house and go up the stairs? Did he not go in the house and go up the stairs? The prosecution is going to have to prove to me that he did not go into the house and go up the stairs, and the defense is going to have to punch some holes. So the defense's job is not to find someone else responsible for the death. They are just there to build so little seeds of doubt, because the prosecution can only get a guilty verdict without any doubt. Like, they're like, without any, what is the phrase, like, there can't be any, like, you can't feel like any doubt. Prosecution a doubt, no reasonable doubt. Yes, reasonable. So and there is so much more to all of these, like, theories as well. There is the tail light, the red glass from the tail light that was scattered around John's body. There's the talk of it being scattered on the body after John had fell, because there was apparently, maybe, I don't know, allegedly none under the body, that it was like a fool's game, and they took glass that they found from when she hit a car, backed into the car leaving the house party or something, and put it on John to make it look like he was hit by the car. The dog bites, was he bitten by a dog or was he beat up? Is it a dog bite? The dog in question is a German Shepherd owned by the residents of Brian's house. The dog is no longer their dog. It has been rehomed. Chloe was its name. I remember the dog's name. It was named Chloe. It now has been rehomed. Blunt force trauma / not being beat up. So the forensics have called it blunt force trauma that gave the badness of body to John, and that it wasn't like someone being beat up, that it was a blunt force, like a car. Maybe there was there was action that happened to Karen's car. There's alleged scratches. The floors in Brian's house, they got them redone. It was, and it's a nice little treat when you're able to refloor your house, just pull up all the old stuff, get rid of all the dirt from days and years past, and just, like, get new floors in. Yeah. It's great if you have any stains or anything on your floors. Like, I don't know, sometimes if you spill oil, or blood, catch my drift. So this would all be wild, right? If this was just a manslaughter case, like, all of this happening would be absolutely wild for a manslaughter case. It would be, which is why it's not. It is no longer a manslaughter case. Her charges have been raised. She is now being charged with second-degree murder, DUI, and something else. I can't remember. But she's got 3 charges, the biggest one being second-degree murder. All right, so let's talk about the internet. Because, like I said, it was the cover-up, the theory of a cover-up, federal investigation, and the internet. Let's talk about the internet's impact on this case. The internet has done really amazing and crazy things for this case. I think this case in particular should reach a large audience, especially if the cover-up theory turns out to be true. I think it really does need to reach a large audience, especially women, because it is very easy. Well, it's a lot easier for men to we've seen all the movies. I'm sure someone could tell me one of the titles of them. But I saw it was like this Lifetime movie once, and it was like everyone around this woman was telling her that she's like wrong and that she's crazy and that she's like not seeing or hearing the things that she's actually seeing and hearing, and like it was just like pure gaslighting, right? Like it was the purest of gaslightings, and like the pure just a nice pure gas of light. Like it was so and like it was like she had to go to like a mental health facility, and like it all turned out for like that she was right and true and everything, it those types of things really boil my blood, because I feel like I could pull my teeth out one by one, like it's that inherent, like, woman to woman, we are sharing in this level of anxiety type of feeling. If this cover up case theory is true, I'm going to need women everywhere to listen and learn and see what has happened. And that's not to say, oh, well, if you see it happen, it will never happen to you. But if you see it happen, it might trigger you seeing it happen as it's happening a little faster, because these people can be so sneaky. These people have the resources to be sneaky. If they are to be sneaky, allegedly sneaky, if they are to be sneaky, they have the resources to be sneaky, and the force behind them, like the literal police force behind them, to be sneaky if they need to be sneaky. And if you don't have a police force or any sort of force behind you to be sneaky, and you are just at like the perfect person at the perfect time to be marked as the one who done it, you really don't have much to go up against them with. So I think this is a really interesting case for that part. There was something called the Canton cover-up, an article that came out about a year after this case. And this creative massive notice on this case online. It kind of went through all these possibilities and, what was capable of when it came to the cover-up. So it was almost like making this cover-up almost foolproof, but Karen is standing her ground on her innocence, and everyone starts picking sides. This became a very divisive topic in the area of Canton and like the surrounding areas. It became very, very divisive, very much like your political standing, Republican, Democrat. It became like, are you for or against Karen as a murderer? Like, did she do it or did she not? Tell me. Like, did she do it? Did she not? Like, do not bring it up at Thanksgiving. do not bring it up at Thanksgiving, because your one uncle who is gonna have a different opinion than you is gonna start a full fight instead of a conversation. Don't bring it up in family gatherings. It was splitting friends. Like, it was crazy. People were fighting in the street about it. And it is to the point now where there are protests for and against Karen as a murderer happening. Every day that court happens, people are there in shirts that have the "Has long to die in the cold" on it. Like this is like wild. It is literally turning into like the OJ case of the East, and as we are getting closer to opening statements, the energy for this case and the knowledge and like the spread of it is just getting bigger and wider. And boy, oh boy, wow. Like the internet is just like rolling with it, they are just rolling. I was just gonna say something. There was a moment where Karen was walking. It was either in or out of court. It was probably into court. Because before a trial happens, they have many hearings. Many hearings. And when things turn into something like this, you have a lot of them for a lot of different things, and like a typical like manslaughter case that's pretty cut and dry, but I said I'm, not guilty sort of thing. So yeah. Crystalline says, I was thinking the same thing. Right now, before we get into like the last bit of it, right now where I sit is I am right in the middle. I am open to hearing every drop of evidence from both sides. I am open to hearing every conversation. I am open to hearing every single word, because as of right now, I think both sides are completely plausible. Like, if I only heard one side and my brain itself said, well, what if it was like a cover up? I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's possible too. If I only heard one side, that this woman is being like woman is being framed as a murderer, I'd be like, oh my God, all of this makes sense. And if I heard this woman is a murderer, I'd be like, oh my God, all of it makes sense. Because there's just so much to it. There's just so much happening. There's just so much movement. And mind you, this happened January 2022. It is April 2024. It really wasn't that long ago for all of this to kind of like unfold and unfurl so quickly in like these cover-up theories. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay, so the last part is the federal investigation. Okay, there's going to be a lot of witnesses. This is going to be at least a 6-week trial once it actually freaking starts with opening statements. We'll see. There are a lot of witnesses, and these witnesses have been busy because they have been witnesses at the state level, at the state grand jury level, and at the federal grand jury level. Which opens the doors for a lot of inconsistencies with people's, I don't want to say stories, but with their retelling of events. There can be a lot of inconsistencies. Now, some of this may be able to be used in this upcoming trial, depending on what the judge will allow or not. It really is up to the judge, because at this point there have been so many times where both sides, the state and the defense, the prosecutors and the defense say, we need to do this for this case. And the judge is like, no, I don't like it. So we will see. And now the prosecution is, in my opinion, going to do everything in their power to make sure, which it's like the normal basis anyway. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure that there is almost zero possibility for a mistrial or a retrial. So they're going to be, I'm sure, choosing their words very, very carefully. Yeah, they got a lot of work to do for sure, but oh my gosh. So right now there is a federal grand jury convening about this case. Like so many, it was like 3,000 pages of documents and stuff that they're looking into, because when it comes down to defense attorneys and attorneys getting phone calls saying that your witness is innocent and that we have proof and that there was police cover up, and it's, and then there's like federal police, it's all things. One of the biggest things, before I let you guys go, because I'm going to let you guys go, but one of the biggest things right now is that there has been a reconstruction done of the crime with the car. So like the car hitting a person. Now I am going to be really interested to see, because the feds hired someone to do this reconstruction of this crime of John being hit by Karen's car. And the federal reconstructionist said inconsistencies. So I'm going to be very interested to see who the defense and the prosecution bring in and say about a reconstruction of the crime, of the hit and run. So this is going to be a lot, and I'm really excited to take the step into live coverage of it. I'm not a lawyer. I do not expect people to flood to my channel. I will always be going into this as someone who just is intrigued by this process. I have no legal training. I am no lawyer. I will never claim to know all of anything. But I think it'll be really, I think it'll be really cool to see this trial, one, get justice for the murder, because that's like the ultimate goal, obviously, to get justice. And lest we not forget of these two children who have been under the guardianship of John for about 7 years because they lost their mother, they lost their father, and now they lost their uncle. So, like, I really hope that the trial is, I hope the prosecution kind of gives them that reminder. Like, the jury, the reminder, like, oh, right, the guardian of those two children who lost their mom tragically and their father tragically at very young ages. Like, these children are losing so many people in their life. And now the final one that they lost is part of this, like, very insane and wild and messy criminal trial. What the fuck? So anyway, that's it for me today. That's the Karen Reed. That's all that I know. I am open and ready to hear all of the details, all of the mess, all of the story, all of the evidence, this coming week, live from the court. That's what I'm interested in. So, so that's that. Thank you guys so much for being here. Do you guys want to, like, end on something? This isn't, I mean, I've told worse stories. So yeah. Oh, I did want to say before you guys go, if you're rewatching or anything, what would make you believe that she did it? What would make you believe that she did it? Is there something that the prosecution could prove that would make you believe that she did it? Find her guilty of second-degree murder. I personally, I don't have anything right now. I don't have anything in my brain that would be like, oh, well, if she did that, then she definitely did. I mean, she's already not, like, in my opinion, she's not a great person. You had so many drinks. You're on the road in a car in a snowstorm, super drunk. That's awful. Like, that's an awful thing. You're not a good person in my view. Are you a murderer? I don't know. Maybe, allegedly. Who knows? You're on trial for it. But it could be not that. Could be not that. I don't know. Wild. Absolutely wild. Karen Reed. Guilty or framed? Could you imagine? Could you imagine being framed for murder? All right. Well, that's it for me. I thank you guys so much for being here. I thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for tuning in, hanging out, saying hello. And I hope to see you all next week live in the courtroom. I will see you guys, if not next week, probably on Friday. We'll probably do like a little roundup of the week as well. But yeah, this is kind of going to be the main story for a while. It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, thank you, Crystalline. Thank you. Yeah, I did a little cut. I did a little cut and a little zhuzh. Little zhuzh. I got to figure out the hairstyles, just a little. Thank you, Ronnie, for being here. Thank you all for being here. Deborah, Crystalline, thank you all so much. Love you guys the most. Laverne, you are an angel. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Be good. And I will see you all next time. Okay. Bye.